NXT Battleground predictions and excitement levels right now. Don't forget to hit like, follow, and subscribe. I'm going to run down the card here, tell you who I think is going to win, tell you my excitement level on each of the matchups. But first, let's talk about where it's being held. The UFC arena, the Apex UFC. Interesting. To me, I like it whenever these pay-per-views for NXT are at actual arenas. This is not an arena. To me, it seems like a glorified, like they did down in Orlando, right? For where WWE, they're the Performance Center. Seems like just a glorified Performance Center. I know it'll be a little bit bigger, and it'll be interesting to see how it goes from there. I believe that's where UFC held all their matches during COVID. I don't know if that's how that UFC Apex got started or not, but I know they did hold some UFC events during the pandemic, and have held some since then, or maybe just getting NXT in there. I like it whenever it's in the arenas, though, man. We went to Vengeance Day, that NXT show in Clarksville, and it was a smaller arena, but it was packed, it was loud, it was popping, and it just gives that feel to, okay, this is what it might look like whenever these NXT superstars get called up. And so we're not going to get that feel, I don't believe, at the Apex. I think the only match that it really is going to help is the NXT Underground match between Shayna Baszler and Lola Vice, but these underground, not into it. I mean, they tried it during the pandemic, and I don't, it was okay, I guess, but I'm really surprised they've brought it back. Maybe just they've brought it back. They've had a couple, 2, 3 of them now. Maybe just so they could set this one up for Baszler and Lola Vice in the UFC Apex, I guess. Make this whole thing make sense. All right, cool. We're going to be there. Let's do an underground match, but my excitement level for that match is pretty low, but we're going to get to that coming up. Just going off of what Sporting News has here in the order of the show. Main event, I would think it would be Trick Williams and Ethan Page for the NXT title. I love how they brought in Ethan Page, and he's getting the title shot right away. Normally I'd be against that type of stuff, work your way up the card, yada yada, gotta earn it. But Ethan Page is a heel. I like the whole deal with that being in the contract. Says he gets the title shot right out of the gate. So get some heat on him for cutting the line. And I'm a big fan of how they've booked this thing so far with Ethan Page coming in. But I don't think he's going to win. I think it's too early for Trick and too early for Ethan Page coming into the company. Yeah, it's fine. You can get the title shot, but no, you're not just going to come in and win the NXT Championship unless they're going to plan on bringing Trick Williams to the main roster. But I think he's going to get a long run as NXT champion, and eventually, maybe not even until next year. I mean, we've seen how long it took for them to bring Braun Breaker up, and I think Trick Williams, it could be quite a while before we see him get to the main roster. And I think we'll see him have a very long title run. I think that title run does continue against Ethan Page. I'm a big fan of All Ego. I'm happy he's in NXT. I think he brings a lot to NXT, and they need some star power right now with losing everybody, a lot of people in the draft. So trying to build up this new talent. And to be honest with you, there were weeks there where I went where I just wasn't that interested in it. Didn't watch a whole lot of the shows. I mean, obviously I'm still watching it, but watching it on DVR, I got my clicker a lot of time. It just hasn't been very compelling as of late, but I think adding Ethan Page and I think adding Jordynne Grace is huge. Now, whether we'll see Jordynne Grace continue on, I doubt it. She's the Impact champion, the TNA Women's Champion. So it's probably a one-off, I would say, with her and Roxanne. But yeah, well, let's get to that right now. Trick Ethan Page, going Trick. Excitement level for that's at about an 8. Those two should mix it up very well. Maybe a little higher if it wasn't so predictable. Pretty predictable anyways. I would think Trick's going to retain. Excitement level is an 8. My excitement level for Roxanne Perez and Jordynne Grace, it is my match of the night, my match of the PLE prediction, someone I'm most excited about, and that is your NXT Women's Champion, Roxanne Perez, taking on my girl, Jordynne Grace. She is one of my favorites. It has been for a very long time now. I'm extremely excited. I'm excited for this match at about a 9.5 because I do like Roxy and I love Jordynne Grace. So sign me up for this one. This should be a good one. Yeah, like I said, I really believe that Roxanne, she's going to retain. If it was for both titles, I mean, then maybe Jordynne would win. But, you know, this is just kind of a little bit of a crossover here. I'd like to see Jordynne, now, to be honest with you, I would rather just see her on the actual main roster on Raw or SmackDown. I think she could do wonders. I think she's ready for that type of competition. I think she proved herself in the Royal Rumble, and I think she's a superstar. I think she's a stud, man. She's a star. She deserves to be at the top. She's one of the best. She's one of the best 10 in the game right now. I got her in my top 10. You can check all my top 10 out at actually it's all the way to the top 25 now. Just hit up the topropepodcast.com. Click on the Top Rope Podcast once you get there, because that's going to redirect you to Gary Martin Media. So click on the Top Rope Podcast, topropepodcast.com. If you want to check out my top 25, we do Top 10 Tuesday shorts on YouTube, but then I go ahead and I post my full top 25, and Jordynne Grace right now is in there. She's right up there. She's one of the best. And Roxanne Perez, I got her right behind Jordynne Grace. Yeah, I think Roxy retains here, but man, I think this is going to be a banger. It's my prediction for the match of the whole dang show. Oba Femi taking on Wes Lee and Joe Coffey for the NXT North American title. I love Oba Femi. I love Wes Lee. Joe Coffey, he's okay, but not a huge fan of him. And this being a triple threat, I'd rather just see Oba Femi taking on Wes Lee. But I think this is one of those deals here. We've seen it recently in a couple 2-3 matches. We had the triple threat. It just seems like so that they can protect one of the competitors in it. And I think they're going to protect Wes Lee here by having Joe Coffey eat the pin and have Oba Femi retain the NXT North American title. But I am a big fan of 2 out of the 3 guys. Well, my excitement level, I would say, I'll go a little bit lower than Trick and Ethan. I'll go about a 7.5 for the NXT North American title triple threat match. Nathan Frazier and Axiom taking on the OC, Luke Gallows, Carl Anderson for the NXT tag team titles. Definitely think Frazier and Axiom are retaining here, just because we've seen a little bit more of the OC now with AJ Styles on SmackDown. The whole fake retirement, they were out there supporting him. And then the next show, this latest SmackDown, we see Gallows and Anderson roll up with AJ Styles. So maybe, and then I know they've been bouncing back and forth, but I don't need to see them in NXT. Not really excited. I mean, they're good, but I mean, I don't know. I'm just not a huge fan of whenever talent that's been on the main roster and have proven themselves goes back to NXT. I mean, it's okay. Baron Corbin did a good job, and I mean, him and Braun Breaker formed a pretty darn good tag team. It does work at times. Personally, though, I'm just not a huge fan of it. Now, you get guys that go up to Raw or SmackDown and they don't do so well up there, then sending them back down, just kind of like a Major League Baseball player. You call them up, they got a piss poor batting average, like, well, send you back to the minors, get your swing figured out and see if we can get you back up to the big leagues, get you back to the main roster. But that's not the case with the OC. They're just down there. And I haven't been that into them since they've been down there doing it. Okay, I get it. I get why they do these things to help put some of the up-and-coming talent over, and I think that's what the OC will do here with Nathan Frazier and Axiom retaining the NXT Tag Team titles. My excitement level, though, not very high, just because Frazier and Axiom they're pretty darn good wrestlers, do a lot of the high-flying stuff, and I think Frazier's got a pretty good character and going on, and them guys work together well as a tag team. I'll say my excitement level's out of 4.5. Sol Ruca versus Last Legend versus Fallon Henley versus Jada Parker versus Michin versus Kalani Jordan in a ladder match for the NXT Women's North American title, the inaugural. who will be your inaugural NXT Women's North American Champion. And first off, I think it's great. I think it's great. They're getting a mid-card title for the women on NXT. Kind of surprised they don't have one on Raw or SmackDown. I know we have 2 champions, so that's probably why. And maybe it's just for the fact that besides, before Belair and Jade Cargill came along, the NXT women or the WWE Tag Team Women's Division was not very good. I would argue still not that great, except for you got 2 super duper over baby faces as your champions that have no competition. But that's to be discussed at a later time, and I have discussed that. You can check me out. Now, we are still here doing on the video on YouTube, but Top Rope Podcast on Spotify as well. But I think this is good, this having the mid-card, and who's going to win it? Let's go in order of, I don't know. Maybe it is because I've not been watching a ton of NXT, especially the women's division of late, from start to finish. Like I said, I watch it, but am I paying super close attention to it? I have not been. So if I had been, I might be able to tell you, yes, this person is probably going to win for sure, or at least they have a very good shot at it. I'm not really, this is a tough one for me. And even if I have been paying attention, I still think it's kind of a toss-up. I could easily see pretty much everybody winning this thing except for Jada Parker and Michin. I don't think either one of them will win it. I just don't think you want to put it on Michin. She's been around for a long time. Maybe they will put it on her for that, give her a title, and say, oh, well, she was the first ever NXT Women's North American Champion. Look at the history of this title, when you get people like Michin winning it and everything else. But to me, it's like, no, who's going to be one of the better up-and-coming stars that you can then go back to and say they were the first NXT Women's North American Champion? And that's tough. That's the tough one for me. Like the one that sticks out to me the most and I don't even know really if she could get it done on the main roster or not. I just don't think any of these ladies are anywhere close to being ready to go to the main roster. I would think the closest would probably be Fallon Henley. So she's my pick. But I could also see him giving it to Kalani Jordan as well. If you want to go babyface, that would kind of put some clout on her name, and you could really start to build her up. Like Fallon Henley's already been built up pretty decently. But Kalani Jordan, very, very young. So Ruka, you could argue he's the same. And Lash Legend, man, she could be a dark horse for this thing. She's my dark horse for this thing for sure. But, she's involved with storyline with Trick, and she's got Metaphor. I don't think she needs this belt. I don't know. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna change it. I'm gonna go. Kalani Jordan's my pick. I could see Fallon Henley be my second pick. Sol Ruka be my third pick. I don't know, for what I said earlier, maybe I'll go Michin my fourth, Lash Legend my fifth, Jada Parker my sixth. As far as who wins that NXT women's first ever North American title in a ladder match. Excitement level? I love ladder matches. I love the Money in the Bank style ladder matches. You get 6 different competitors going on in there. So I'm not quite as excited for this as I am either of the main title matchups, but I am probably excited more for it than I am any of the others. What I put the Oba Westlake Joe Coffey at a 7.5, I think. Although my excitement level is about almost an 8. We'll say it's about an 8. I don't remember exactly what I said at the top, but I'll say it's about an 8. Shayna Baszler, Lola Vice, NXT Underground. So this is the one I'm probably, I'm probably say I'm least excited about this. I'm not real excited, like I said, about Fraser and Axiom versus the OC for the tag team titles either. But, I'm going to give this my excitement level for this one's at about a 3. Okay, maybe just because it's in the apex, I'll go 4.5. We'll put it with a tie for the NXT tag team titles. And as far as who wins, God bless. If we're still in there, we have Shayna Baszler in there, My goodness. I mean, she's a killer, man. She should be being booked way better than she's been booked on Raw or SmackDown main card, whatever which one she's on. They've been bouncing back and forth now, but because they've been going after the title, so we've seen them, I think, a little bit on both shows. Some on SmackDown, even though I'm pretty sure they're on Raw. So, I mean, to me, she's probably just down there to put over Lola Vice. So, but I would think in the Apex, Shayna Baszler, like, she should win. She should win, but the way things go, it'll probably be Lola Vice. But you know what? I'm going to go Shayna Baszler here. I'm probably going to be wrong. But, no. What? I mean, yeah, I'll go Baszler. Just because I just don't think they can keep putting her down, especially in this type of match. This is her match. This is her match. Lola Vice can have a really great match against her, but then lose. Even though Baszler probably is not going to do much still in NXT, and it really doesn't hurt her to lose this, I'm still going Baszler. And that is, friends, my WWE NXT PLE predictions for Battleground at the UFC Apex. Don't forget to hit the thumbs up, like, follow, and subscribe to try to grow the old Top Rope podcast. Much obliged. Yeah. God bless.